Right, so here I am in San Francisco, and it's early morning. They said it was going to be warm. That message was wrong. It's pretty cool. We've got fog at the moment. You can probably see behind the Oaklands Bridge, which goes across the bay. Of course, the famous Golden Gate Bridge is just on the other side. I'll maybe show that to you at some other stage. And look what I came across, which is quite interesting, which is a statue of Gandhi, of all people, by the ferry terminal in San Francisco. So I just wanted to touch on something. I yesterday released a video, or earlier, about my trip to San Francisco and to America and how I like to travel. And I made mention of how it was one of my highest values, and I thought, let me just kind of elaborate, because there's two critical things that come into play, which is why I will spend so much money on travel, and that is, number one, values, and number two, something called standards. So firstly, as a value, Dr. John Demartini, a good friend of mine, he wrote an incredible book called The Values Factor. All right, I seriously suggest you get hold of it. And John has been talking the concept of hierarchy of values for a very, very long time. And I've known John now for 12 years. And a number of years ago, I got kind of serious about understanding this concept of the hierarchy of values. Values are really the things that are truly most important. And they're not things that we make up. They're actually things that are generally driven by voids, things that we lacked in life. So we're all unique in our hierarchy of values, and we tend to be naturally inspired to do things that are within our values, whereas we have to be motivated to do things that don't necessarily support our values. But anyway, you can go and learn more about it, or on our site, Real Entrepreneur, when it comes out with a new version. We'll probably talk a bit about it there as well. But basically, my highest values are connection, travel, and learning. And travel is one of my highest values. So when it comes to spending money, time, energy, being organized, being inspired, travel comes naturally to me, right? The second thing is something called standards. So something that Tony Robbins taught me a while back. And it was actually in 2013 that I went to London to do Business Mastery with Tony Robbins. And I didn't have a lot of money at the time, and Business Mastery is an expensive program. It cost $10,000. But it was sponsored to me by one of my associates that manages Tony around the world. And I went there, but I remember saying, I'm going to buy a business class ticket the first time ever. I'm going to fly on a business class ticket to London. And I'll never forget it, because I remember when I purchased it, it was about $3,000 or 36,000 rand, and I was like, so whoa, like I can't believe I've just spent this much money on a ticket. But when I went there, and off the back of Business Mastery and Tony talking about values, and not values but standards, and what standards we live by, I basically made a commitment to myself that I refuse ever to travel economy class. Now it might sound like a crazy thing, but remember, it's one of my highest values. And the truth is, I raised the bar. I raised the standard of what I accepted in my life and what I was no longer prepared to accept. And I was no longer prepared to accept flying economy class. Now, I didn't know I was going to do it, because it took a lot to buy this business class ticket, and I traveled quite a lot overseas. But it wasn't a want. It was an absolute must, as Tony will say, when it comes to standards. And subsequently, since 2013, I have flown 40 times, or 40 international flights. Every single one has been business or first class. In fact, 40% of them being first class. And do you think my life adjusted itself to meet that new standard that wasn't a want but a must? Absolutely. And standards are such a critical thing, because, if you want to know what your current standards are, look at your current life. Look at what you currently live in, because that's a representation of what your standards are. It's what you accept. And people go, no, Brian, come on, I don't accept, I want something different. It's because you want it, but want is not good enough. You need to have it. It must become a must in your life. And it all starts up here. And it's an interesting example, and it may be a bit materialistic, because I changed many other standards. Like, for instance, I've lost 24 kilos since a year ago, and I've changed my standard on health and what I'm prepared and not prepared to accept. And I spend a lot of money, and I have a personal Pilates trainer who I work with, and I've got a special routine I do while I travel, and I was at the gym this morning, and I'm walking a lot. And it really is, shifting something up here as to how you want to be, and then you find a way or make a way no matter what. And that's what it's about. And think back in 2013 when I'd never flown business class or first class, and I think that 40 flights thereafter I've flown business and first class. Well, your life adjusts to meet those standards, but you've got to make the choice up here. So what are your standards? What do you want to shift in your life as a whole? And what are your values? What are the things that are truly most important to you, the things that you're naturally inspired to do? Go and check that out with Dr. John Demartini, learn more about standards. Also from John Demartini or Tony Robbins, my good friend Robin Banks, John Keogh's #1 trainer in the world. And it's very, very important, guys, because we live what we believe we are worthy of. We live based on what we truly value. So it's Brian Walsh checking in from San Francisco. Thought I'd share that a little bit with you on the back of the last video that I put out there. And I'm going to go back to the hotel. I've got a webinar to do shortly with the guys back in South Africa and Africa. And then I'm going to chill out a bit. Tomorrow I have another webinar to do in the morning, which is the evening back in Africa. And then my kids arrive, and of course we've got the World Cup Rugby, which is so cool. That is on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, so we'll be there as well. I'll show you a little bit of it at the AT&T Park, which is the famous baseball stadium here in San Francisco. Anyway, I'm checking out now. I'll catch you guys soon. Ciao for now.